On this week's Digital Marketing News, Google updates their algorithm, Facebook is testing your loyalty, Pinterest redesigns their business profile pages, and Alexa, don't try to sell me stuff.
Welcome to the Digital Marketing News. I'm Tiffany Allen.
And with your first story this week, I am Joshua Knight.
That you are.
Or am I? It's hard to know who you are, especially when you're on Facebook. But Facebook seems to be based on an anonymous source who may have leaked some confidential documents that were then reported in a major marketing news website. So, so this is something you can find and not something I'm making up, I promise. Facebook may be bringing artificial intelligence and machine learning to its ads in a much bigger way than it has before.
Wow.
So the idea is a slide in a presentation that Facebook apparently gave to some folks may introduce loyalty prediction services to your advertising. So instead of targeting people who are engaged with your product or are likely to engage, this purports to be able to find the people who might be disengaging with your product. So if they're ready to jump ship off your brand and hook up with a competitor, I suppose, if they're going to cheat on your brand, you might be able soon to target them as an audience. So as we said, this is very unofficial, just rumblings starting to happen, but I feel like this is kind of inevitable. You know, this is artificial intelligence applied to social media marketing in a huge way. Privacy concerns are, of course, there, but I'm excited to see how this shapes out.
Absolutely. You know, there's other social media marketing news to tell you about today, Josh.
No.
Yes.
Ooh.
Pinterest is giving their 1 million businesses on the platform a refreshed profile page.
Oh.
Yeah, so there are more customization options, and also Pinterest businesses on Pinterest are going to be able to see their average views for the last 30 days right within their profile page.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah, so there's a couple customization options, including dynamic cover images, an ability to showcase recent activity, and to highlight more important or more recent pins on their profile. So just kind of making it a little bit easier for people marketing on Pinterest to showcase what they really care about, sort of like you can see with other platforms that have pinned tweets and things like that.
I like that. I like the ability to more curate the space that you're in charge of. Maybe not to like MySpace levels, although it would be really cool if your brand could have an autoplay of, somebody saying, don't call it a comeback, perhaps, every time they open. Yeah, or a MIDI file. You could bring back MIDI files. But for now, I think we can at least take some charge and get some dynamic visuals in there and highlight your best stuff.
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and step out of frame so you can do your next story.
Okay, get. Thanks, Tiffany, for getting out of the frame so I can deliver this story. We have voice assistants in our lives right now. We have phones, we have our smart speakers. One thing that they haven't done a lot of is sell us stuff. And do we want them to? I have my own thoughts about it, but a company called Net Elixir just did a survey about how people use voice search, including those smart assistants on your phone and the smart speakers. And it's kind of interesting to see what people said. So the headline of this story that I read said, people don't want ads on search assistants. Digging into it, maybe not so much. But first, a couple of statistics about voice search in general. 46% of the people that responded to this survey are using their voice search at least once daily. So that's nearly half of everybody who's searching using voice search. A third of users say they're using smart speakers, which is a much bigger percentage than I was expecting. And the rest of them are on mobile, so the vast majority are on mobile. So they asked these people, would you be open to receiving ads on your smart speaker or voice assistant in what circumstances? And so the responses were interesting. 40% said they would be okay with that if the ads are relevant to the user. So that's similar to what we see on every other platform. If an ad is relevant, it kind of ceases to be an interruption and becomes valuable. Under that, 25% say they would be open to hearing sponsored messages when they're researching products. 22% said when they specifically ask for advice on products and services. And 16% say just when I ask to make a purchase. So don't give me sponsored ads when I'm researching, just when I'm down at that intent. But I think it's interesting that 16% that's a pretty low number, which means that leaves the door open for some really careful, really relevant advertising. And by the way, only 7% said no, and I don't want ads anytime at all from my smart speaker or my voice assistant. So I think this shows that there is a market out there. It is, like every other channel, something that we need to use carefully and thoughtfully, and those who use it in a way that brings value and connects with people are going to be successful. Tiffany, why don't I go that way and you can bring your next story in?
Thanks, Josh. So on Monday, Google confirmed that they released an algorithm update, basically a broad core algorithm update on April 16th, which will have an impact on search rankings for folks whose content isn't relevant to the search terms for which it's showing up. So basically, these broad core updates happen several times a year. They're pretty routine, but what they do is they impact the search results for relevance. So, for example, if you're ranking in a blog post for ice cream cones, and what you're really writing about are decorative ice cream cone holders, and folks are searching for actual ice cream cones, your content is going to see a depletion in rankings. So what does this mean for marketers? This means that you need to try to make your content the best answer for the search queries for which you'd like to rank. So do a little research before you write your content. Look and see what folks are looking up, what search results are showing when you see that keyword. That will help you rank better and ultimately provide the best answer for your audience, which is really what it's all about. Back to us, Josh.
Thanks, Tiffany. For our final story, we wanted to talk a little bit about some new stats from Hootsuite. Hootsuite.
That came off a little bit more vampire than owl.
Oh, well, maybe a vampire owl. How awesome would that be?
Scary.
Yeah, so the vampire owls at Hootsuite have put together a report on the kind of a snapshot of social media usage right now. And the big surprise is it's actually on the rise.
Yeah.
As opposed to like everything we've heard from every news outlet ever, more people are using it. There are 3 billion active social media users, which is half the dang population.
Yeah. And 43% of the total population is active on social media, and it grew by 13% of active social media users in compared to April of 2017.
Yeah, I feel like we're seeing almost a rolling wave as people get more internet access in more far-flung locations. Then they go, ooh, what is this thing called Facebook? I bet it won't ruin my life.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the amount of internet users actually rose by 276 million between January and March, totaling about 4 billion people by the end of Q1 of this year.
So that would be more than half of everyone ever. And the top 3 sites on the web I thought were interesting because 2 of them are owned by Google, Google and YouTube, and then the third one, of course, is Facebook.
Yeah.
But more interesting than that, though, they did the top 3 social platforms by active users, and they were Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp.
What?
Like private messaging app in the top 3 above Snapchat, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, all of those. And if you expand it to the top 5, that adds Messenger and WeChat.
Weird.
So 2 more dark social sites.
Very exciting. Yeah, I thought it was interesting that Twitter was number 12 and Instagram was number 14 of the top used sites overall. Thought that was fascinating, especially because when you think about, your social promotion mix, you're like, oh, we got to make sure this is on Twitter, this is on Instagram, but maybe you should be thinking more about getting things onto YouTube.
It does depend on where your audience is.
Yep.
Of course, we have had clients who felt like Twitter was just a no-go for them, like their people weren't there, and it turns out they were absolutely there. And we threw a little paid at reaching those people, and it went huge.
Yeah.
So I think these stats are good because they tell us we should be continuing to invest in social media in general. But it is about following your audience. And I think in more than anything right now, it's about finding out how to follow them into those private apps without being a bother.
Right. Don't be creepy, but be helpful, right?
Well, I hope that you found this broadcast creepy and helpful, honestly.
Absolutely. And we'll be back next week with more marketing news. But in the meantime, you can follow TopRank on Twitter at TopRank or me at Tiffany_Allen.
Yep, you can find me on Twitter at Nightrights. That's NITEWRITES. And if you like our videos, please hit subscribe and ding the little bell so you'll get notifications whenever we publish cool new content.
All right. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.